In the earlier lessons, you have learnt about composite and prime numbers. Let us recall that a positive integer p is prime if p is not equal to 1 and the only positive divisors of p are 1 and p itself. So, p is a prime number if, first of all, it's not equal to 1 and its positive divisors are p and 1. Let's look at some examples. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 19, 23 are all prime numbers. Let's look at the factorization of 2. 2 is equal to 2 into 1. This is the only factorization which is possible. So the only divisors are 1 and 2. Interesting fact about 2. 2 is the only even number which is also prime. Next, look at 3. The factorization of 3 can only be 3 into 1. So the only divisors are 1 and 3 itself. Similarly, even for numbers 7, 11, 13, 19, 23 and several more numbers which we have not taken over here will have their factorizations as only the number itself into 1. So the only positive divisors will be the number itself and 1. So any positive integer is prime or composite. It is prime if the positive integer is divisible by only 1 and itself. Examples are 3, 7, 5, 11, 13, etc. And it's composite if the positive integer is not 1 and is not prime. Then it will be a composite number and can be represented as a product of two of its factors. For example, 10 is equal to 5 into 2. 6 is equal to 3 into 2. Now, for composite numbers which can be represented as a product of two factors, these factors also in turn can be either prime or composite. In case a prime factor is composite, it can be split further. And as we continue to factorize it, we will ultimately arrive at a point when all the factors will be prime and cannot be factorized any further. Let's take an example. Consider the number 1176, 1176. Let's do the prime factorization for this number. We can factorize 1176 as 2 into 588. So we get two factors for 1176, 2 and 588. 2, which is marked in red over here, is a prime number and cannot be factored any further. But 588 can still undergo factorization because it is a composite number. 588 can be represented as 2 into 294. So we get two more factors of 588, 2 and 294. 2 again cannot be factored any further because it's a prime number. But 294 can be factored because it's a composite number. 294 is equal to 2 into 147. Again, 2 cannot be factored any further, but 147 can be. 147 can be divisible by 3 as 3 into 49 is equal to 147. 3 over here is again a prime number, so it cannot be factored any further. But 49 can be factored because it's a composite number. 7 into 7 equals to 49. So now both the factors 7 are prime numbers and cannot be factored any further. So this is the final prime factorization of 1176. Thus the factorization of 1176 is as follows. It will be 2 into 2 into 2 into 3 into 7 into 7. But 1176 can also be factorized in another way. Let's do that factorization. 1176 can be factored into 3 into 392. 3 cannot be factored anymore because it's a prime number, but 392 is a composite number and can be factored furthermore as 7 into 56. 7 into 56 also equals to 392. 7 again is a prime number and cannot be factored any further, but 56 can be. 56 is equal to 2 into 28. So 2 and 28 are factors of 56. 2 cannot be factored any further because it's a prime number, but 28, which is a composite number, can be factored further as 2 into 14. Again 2 cannot be factored any further, but 14 can, as 2 into 7. Now 2 and 7 are both prime numbers and both cannot be factored any further. So now we reach to the final factorization of 1176. Thus the factorization of 1176 is also 1176 is equal to 3 into 7 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 7. Now let's try another kind of factorization also for 1176. 1176 can be factored into 7 and 168, because 7 into 168 is equal to 1176. 7, which is a prime number, cannot be factored any further, but 168, which is a composite number, can be. So let's factorize 168 as 2 into 84. Again 2 cannot be factored any further, but 84 can. 84 is equal to 3 into 28. 3 is a prime number and cannot be factored any further, but 28 is a composite number. So we factorize 28 as 7 into 4. Again 7 cannot be factored any further, and 4, which is a composite number, has factors 2 into 2. Again, as you can see, we've reached to the final factorization of 1176, since all of the factors are prime now. Thus we can factorize 1176 as the follows: 7 into 2 into 3 into 7 into 2 into 2. Now let's look at all the three factorizations that we've done. If you can notice, in all the three factorizations we got 2 thrice. We got 3 once. And we got 7 twice. So what do we learn over here? No matter in which way we do the factorization of a number, the number of prime numbers in the factorization will remain the same. So we observe that in all the prime factorizations of 1176, the prime numbers appearing are the same, although the order in which they appear may be different. So this leads us to a conjecture that every positive integer is either prime or it can be expressed as a product of primes, and this factorization is unique except for the order in which the prime factors occur. This is the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Fundamental theorem of arithmetic. The fundamental theorem of arithmetic states that every composite number can be expressed or factorized as a product of primes, and this factorization is unique except for the order in which the prime factors occur. Earlier we saw that for prime factorization for 1176, 1176 could be expressed in the following ways: 2 into 2 into 2 into 3 into 7 into 7, 3 into 7 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 7, or 7 into 2 into 3 into 7 into 2 into 2. This was according to the order in which we were finding out the prime factors. But in all these three expansions, we can clearly see that the number of times the prime factors 2, 3 and 7 occur is the same. We can see that 2 occurs thrice, 3 occurs once and 7 occurs twice. But the order in which they appear is different. While writing an integer as the product of its prime factors, if we write the primes in ascending order and combine all the same primes, then the integer can also be expressed as the product of the powers of distinct primes. For example, 1176 was 2 into 2 into 2 into 3 into 7 into 7. So if you combine the 3 2's, you get 2 cube. The 3 which is single remains like that, and 2 7's will become 7 square. So 1176 can be expanded as 2 cube into 3 into 7 square. Similarly, even when the order of the prime factors is changed, again we can see that 1176 remains the same as the product of primes, product of powers of distinct primes. 1176 is equal to 2 cubed into 3 into 7 square. Following this, we have another theorem. Let P be a prime number and A be a positive integer. If P divides A squared, then P will also divide A. From the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, an integer A can be factorized as the product of primes. Let A equal to P1 into P2 into P3 till Pn be the prime factorization of A, where P1, P2, P3 till Pn are all primes, not necessarily distinct. Now we have A is equal to P1, P2, P3 till Pn. So A squared is equal to P1 into P2 into P3 till Pn into P1 into P2 into P3 into Pn, which is P1 the whole squared, P2 the whole squared, P3 the whole squared until Pn the whole squared. It is given that P is a prime and it divides A square. Therefore, P is a prime factor of A square. From the uniqueness part of the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, it follows that the only prime factors of A square are P1, P2, P3 until Pn. Therefore, P has to be 1 out of P1, P2, P3 and Pn. This implies that P completely divides P1 into P2 into P3 until Pn, because it is one of them itself. So that means P completely divides A, because A is P1 into P2 into P3 into Pn. Let's solve a few examples to understand this clearly. How can we express the following integers as the product of its prime factors? 3825 and 5005. Let's take 3825 first. Factorizing 3825 gives the following. 3825 can be expressed as 3 into 1275. So 3 and 1275 are its factors. Since 3 is prime, it cannot be factored anymore, but 1275 can be factored into 3 into 425. 3 into 425 again gives 1275. Again, as we can see, 3 is a prime factor which cannot be factored any further, but 425 can be. 425 can be represented as 5 into 85. 5 is a prime factor and cannot be factored anymore, but 85 can be factored into 5 and 17. 5 into 17 gives 85. So this is the final prime factorization of 3825. So 3825 can be written as 3 into 3 into 5 into 5 into 17. So combining the same primes, we get 3 squared into 5 squared into 17. Now let's factor 5005. 5005 can be 5 into 1001. 5 is a prime number and cannot be factored anymore, but 1001 can be. 7 into 143 gives us 1001. 7 again is a prime factor and cannot be factored anymore, but 143 can be. 143 is equal to 11 into 13. Again, now 11 and 13 are both prime numbers and cannot be factored anymore. So 5 into 7 into 11 into 13 is the prime factorization of 5005. Let's take another example. Prove that there is no natural number for which 4 to the power of n ends with the digit 0. We know that any integer ending with the digit 0 is divisible by 5. So its prime factorization must contain the prime 5. We have 4 to the power of n is equal to 2 squared to the power of n, which is equal to 2 to the power of 2n using the laws of exponents. So that means the only prime in the factorization of 4 to the power of n is 2. There are no other primes in the factorization of 4 power n. So, by the uniqueness of fundamental theorem of arithmetic, 5 does not occur in the prime factorization for 4 to the power of n for any n. So that means 4 to the power of n does not end with the digit 0 for any natural number n. Let's solve another problem. Show that there are infinitely many positive primes. Let's assume that there are only finite number of positive primes p1, p2, p3 until pn, such that p1 is lesser than p2 is lesser than p3 and so on. Matlab they are in ascending order. Let x is equal to 1 plus p1, p2, p3 into pn, the multiplication of all these primes which we've assumed are a finite number. Clearly p1 into p2 into p3 until pn will be a number which is divisible by each of p1, p2, p3 until pn. Therefore x, which is 1 plus p1 into p2 into p3 until pn, will not be divisible by any one of p1, p2, p3 or pn. So x is prime, or it will have a prime divisor other than p1, p2, p3 or pn. So that means there exists a positive prime different from p1, p2, p3 until pn. This contradicts our initial assumption that there are only a finite number of positive primes which were p1, p2, p3 until pn. So it's proved that the number of positive primes is infinite. Let's solve another interesting problem. Prove that a positive integer n is prime if no prime p less than or equal to root of n divides n. Let n be a positive integer such that no prime which is lesser than root n divides n. Then we have to prove that n is prime. Now suppose n is not a prime number. Then n will be equal to a into b, where a is more than 1 and a is less than or equal to b. This gives that a will be lesser than or equal to root n and b will be more than or equal to root n. Now let p be a prime factor of a. Then a will be more than or equal to n and will be less than or equal to root of n, and p will completely divide a. So p will completely divide a into b as well, which means p will completely divide n. A prime number less than root n divides n. This contradicts our assumption that no prime less than root n will divide n. So our initial assumption was wrong, hence n is a prime.